Part 15. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 141. Level 20 Equipment. I can't equip it now. Forget it, let you take advantage. Yuchen smiled and took over the shadow cloak, and then handed over the 1,000-year-old sycamore essence and branches. The old man Kinji's beard trembled twice, and he grunted, "It will take some time to refine the Kinji fan. You can come back and pick it up in 3 days. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow." With that said, he handed the 1,000 machine fan in his hand to Yechen and said, "I don't need this 1,000 machine fan anymore. You can give it to the old appraiser." Yechen took it with a smile and went back to the city to leave. Bayun City, Laboratory. Yechen bought a level 15 purple leather armor. After equipping it, he found the old appraiser and handed over the 1,000 machine fan. "Tisk, tisk, young man, you actually stole this 1,000 machine fan from old man Kinji, or is he actually willing to part with you?" The old appraiser looked surprised. Yechen chuckled twice and asked him to exchange the sacred materials for him. What was there that he couldn't bear to part with? Later, his task prompt was completed and he received a small reward. At this time, he suddenly received the voice of the tank, his expression changed, and he immediately rushed out of the city. Ancient ruins, great desert. Yechen looked from a distance and found several teams fighting together. Are there reinforcements? Yechen was slightly surprised. Huawei went online today. After being discovered by Xinyue's people, he and his team fought against a certain elite group of Xinyue at the ancient ruins. When the tank sent the voice just now, they were still running away. Now they are fighting, and the two sides are in a fierce battle, with no distinction between superior and inferior. It is obvious that there are reinforcements. Yechen, the reinforcement is an acquaintance of mine, the president of the Tyrant Blood Alliance. When you arrive at the battlefield, cut off a few of Xinyue's back rows, and we can win. Huo Wu is worthy of being a master. In the midst of the fierce battle, she still had enough energy to observe. When she saw Yechen's coordinates approaching, she immediately sent a message to the team channel. Good. Yechen responded, jumped down from the somersault cloud, pounced on a sand crab, used shadow attack to gain strength, and flew 30 to 40 yards away in an instant. Lazy Potion. A low-level psychostimulant elixir. Yechen poured 2 bottles of medicine in a row and continued to rush forward. After 2.5 seconds, he exited from the previous combat state and dived towards the battlefield in stealth. Like a ghost, Yechen suddenly appeared behind a priest in the enemy team. The red flame dagger penetrated the opponent's back of the heart. The opponent screamed and died immediately. There are thieves. Take control. The other team leader reacted quickly and yelled immediately. In the early stages of the game, each profession did not have remote control skills. Of course, this did not include some special skills or skills attached to some top-quality equipment. Such skills are rare and of high value, but Xinyue is very wealthy, so it is not unusual for their elite group to have such equipment. At that moment, 2 players turned their heads and looked towards Yechen. Just as they were about to release their control skills, they saw Yechen running away like lightning. Stun dart. Yechen raised his hand and threw a golden 5-pointed star dart, hitting one of the crispy mage, triggering a 50% chance of being stunned, making him fall into a dazed state. You know, stun dart is an output skill, it has a percentage. If in the past, Yechen was wearing golden equipment and a dark cloak with a basic strength bonus of 80 points, he would be sure to kill the crispy mage with a stun dart. It can be seen that Yechen lost his golden equipment and could not keep up with the rhythm in some small details. But this didn't stop him from throwing another dart. Instant kill. At the same time, he was also hit by the opponent's remote control, but he had a firm will and released it immediately. Call out. Explosive flame technique. Armor-piercing arrows. Many people in the back row immediately focused their fire support after their teammates used control skills, trying to kill Yechen instantly. However, Yechen had already expected it. After understanding the control in seconds, he immediately jumped one step back and escaped sideways. Bang bang bang. Immediately, the opponent set fire like fireworks, exploding at the coordinates where Yechen was previously, but did not hurt him. What a quick reaction. This thief is a master. Well, he is Night God. Fight wildly and charge in the opposite direction. While the other party was amazed, they also started to take action. The leader sent 2 berserkers. They charged in reverse direction and rushed in front of Yechen in an instant. Such a reaction and such decisiveness clearly shows the strength of this elite group. Yechen gritted his teeth. Facing such a high-quality elite group, he felt troubled. He didn't dare to fight hard at the moment, so he rolled on the spot, raising a puff of smoke and dust, and used his higher agility to escape from the battlefield. 2.5 seconds later, he entered the invisible state again. Seeing this, the 2 Kuangzhan looked at each other and did not pursue in confusion. Instead, they retreated to their own back row. Immediately, the opponent's back row formed 2 triangle formations, killing Yechen's chance to continue a sneak attack. Call. In the shadows, Yechen let out a sigh of relief. Since his rebirth, he has been invincible. Now facing Xinyue's elite group, he felt depressed for the first time. He felt that the opponent was as solid as a mountain and he couldn't break it. Yechen, don't be aggressive. The opponent is a mythical group. They have experienced hundreds of battles and are not that easy to deal with. Compared to Yechen, Huowu is now more like a team leader. In the fierce battle, she still has the energy to analyze the direction of the battle. She said, if there is no chance, return to the front row and help me break the enemy shield warriors, and we can win. Hearing this, Yechen's pupils shrank, and he took back the dangerous idea of forcing a wave, and rushed to the front line. 10 o'clock direction, agility 30%. Focus. Seconds. Suddenly, there was a roar, and Yechen was struck by lightning, and hurriedly rolled and broke the martial arts. Bang bang bang. Various skills exploded like fireworks, exploding around Yechen. Yechen rolled to avoid some and also ate some. Relying on the domineering defense of breaking the martial arts, he saved his life. Blood-colored eyes. Yechen's heart was chilled, and he ran in the opposite direction, away from the battlefield. Chase. The other team leader shouted coldly, and the 2 berserkers activated the violent buff and accelerated to chase Yechen. After Yechen was slightly away from the battlefield, he felt relieved. He fought and ran, and occasionally threw golden darts to sweep behind him and shoot wildly. After a few seconds, the combo points were full. After running fast, Yechen turned back, attacked suddenly, and stabbed with a spinning stab. Shadow attack. Successfully killed one person, shadow attack and finishing blow. Shadow stretched out. In an instant, Yechen crossed a distance of 60 plus and teleported to the battlefield in front. Under the shocked eyes of the opponent's shield warrior, he suddenly knocked him out with a club. Cut the throat. Yechen then swung the dagger, bringing a blood flower, and hit nearly 2,000 points of damage. The shield warrior's HP, which was already low, was instantly taken away. It's okay, Bixia Kangtian, you all break through with me. In 2 seconds, Yechen suddenly killed the opponent's shield warrior. Huowu's eyes flashed with a strange light, and she shouted delicately. The members of the Bixia League in front of her roared and rushed out. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 142. Roar. Yechen instantly hacked the enemy shield warrior to death, breaking through the opponent's mountain-like defense, which boosted the morale of his own side, erupted with a shocking battle cry, and pounced out wildly. In less than 10 seconds, the opponent's formation collapsed. Withdraw. Among the enemy troops, a young man as handsome as a demon gave the order. In a moment, the enemy troops fled, but he was the only one who stood proudly. Yashin, Huowu, you are very good. I will deal with you again next time I have a chance. And Tyrant Blood Kangtian, you Tyrant Blood Alliance are very talented and dare to be enemies of my myth. I hope you won't be awakened by nightmares at night. The cold voice of the strange young man froze the chilling atmosphere in the air. His demeanor was arrogant and unruly, and his calm words had a hint of mythology. As a group leader, he forcefully threatened the president of the Tyrant Blood Alliance, but Tyrant Blood Kangtian had a solemn expression on his face, with cold sweat oozing from his face. There was no disdain, only fear. Deeply afraid. His ID has only one word, demon. Yu Yao is a young and promising young genius. After he made a strong appearance, he was valued by Zunguo and made him the leader of the Xinhui group. Not only that, Yao is not only valued by Xinhui, but also by Xinhui Club's major shareholders, the bosses behind Xinhui. Yao is very young, much younger than Sinless. Such a pace means that he is a candidate for the next president of Xinhui. He can indeed represent mythology, he has this qualification. After finishing speaking, the demon snorted coldly, turned around and followed the team away. God, I didn't expect you to be so affectionate and righteous. You and I are just casual acquaintances, but you could offend Xinhui for me. After the demon left with his team, Huowu couldn't help but joke to Bixue Kangtian. She is not so naive, so she naturally does not believe that Tyrant Blood Kang can be so generous. There must be some kind of profit motive behind it. When she said this, Bixue Kangtian suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Master Huowu, I heard that you and Wuxin were at loggerheads, and he even issued a fatwa to kill you. Now that you are alone, I'm afraid you are powerless. Why not join our blood alliance? Of course, if your elite group is also willing to join, we are very welcome. Yashen's fame was so popular for a while, but after all it was not as good as the background of top gods like Huowu. At this moment, Bixue Kangtian preconceived the idea that the leader of the elite group in front of him was Huowu. Giggle, Kangtian, you are so manly. You actually poached me in front of my captain. Huowu glanced at Yechen, who was rubbing his nose in depression, and kept laughing. Forward. Bixue Kangtian was stunned and took a deep look at Yechen. He really couldn't imagine what kind of magic power the young man in front of him had. He could actually let a great master like Huowu join his small group of people, just like a half-hearted elite group. Master Huowu, what future will you have if you join such an elite group? In any case, although our hegemonic blood alliance is not as good as the giants like Xinhui and the Hall of Fame, it can still be regarded as a first-tier guild, right? Don't you think about it? Bixue Kangtian stared at Yuchen for a long time, but didn't see any flowers. He immediately shook his head and said to Huowu, besides, I have also heard about your family's affairs. Our Bixue Alliance is willing to spend 10 million invest in your company. Hearing this, Huowu deliberately remained silent and stared at Yechen with interest. She wanted to see how her young leader would respond at this time. Seeing Huowu's silence, Bixue Kangtian turned his gaze to Yechen and said, Brother Yechen, I don't know what kind of relationship and friendship you have with God Huowu, but if you are really good for her, you should let go. She deserves a bigger stage. Oh, I didn't let go, you can dig whatever you want. Yechen shrugged. He knew that Huowu was teasing him on purpose, so he scolded dissatisfiedly, this guy relies on himself to be a great master and does not follow discipline. He missed work for a whole day yesterday, and he didn't even ask me, the head of the group, for instructions. Chi. Before Yechen finished speaking, Bixue Kangtian and a group of his men burst into laughter, leaning forward and backward with laughter, as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. Undisciplined, Absenteeism from work, haha, you guys are so funny. You are just an elite group, oh no, just a half-baked ordinary group. How much discipline do you have? Everyone in the tyrannical Blood Alliance sneered, even if it is true, Huowu will be relaxed when she is enlightened. She still needs to ask you for instructions. How many pounds do you have? Master Huowu, have you seen this? This kid doesn't know his own worth at all, he doesn't respect you at all. Just quit and join us. We will pay for any liquidated damages. The future is bright. Seeing Ye Chen's ugly appearance, Bixu Kangtian's heart dropped quietly and he said carelessly to Huowu. He believed that Huowu would make a wiser choice at this moment. Haha, you guys really don't realize it. The more you talk, the more outrageous you are. Huowu glanced at Ye Chen and said with a smile, how many pounds does he have? He can steal Suan Wu, can you? He did it in the first month. Seeing that Huowu was about to reveal his secrets one by one, Ye Chen hurriedly coughed. He has too many secrets. Kill the blood alone, get the chief title in the first month of the game, control the price trend of all purple equipment in the light camp, earning 100,000 yuan a day, own the blood tree, steal the holy weapon from Suan Wu. There are too many, and if you take out any one of them, it will make ordinary players tremble and giant guilds shocked. Compared to the top players, he just lacks skills and experience, but his real combat power is not at all weak. And his potential is huge, it can be said that he is better than all the players. This is a contemptuous attitude. How stupid is Huowu to find an ordinary person to rely on in difficult times? No, she is not stupid at all. On the contrary, she has a good vision and sees Ye Chen's potential. Therefore, Ye Chen really does not need to be on the same level as a small Bixu League, because they are not worthy. Huowu understood and said no more. She waved her hand and said to Bixu and others, okay, you go, I can't join you. Moreover, in terms of prospects, your entire guild combined is not as good as our elite group. Hearing this, Bixu Kangtian still did not give up, but Huowu had already glanced to the side, and immediately smiled helplessly, and led people away in disgrace. Before leaving, he still snorted at Ye Chen. He was willing to wait until Huowu gave up her evil ways and joined the light. After everyone left, Ye Chen glanced at Huowu and said, you are happy now. Not only did you skip work, but you also made me hate you for no reason. Ye Chen, maybe what I said would be very cruel to you and everyone else. Huowu's expression changed, and she said seriously, in fact, the reason why I joined your team was to use you to help my family overcome difficulties. So, I hope to see your growth, and growth quickly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 143. Actually, the reason why I joined your team is to use you, so, I hope to see you grow very quickly. Huowu's words made Ye Chen's heart ache. It turned out that he was not as strong as he thought. Do you even hesitate to encourage others? Ye Chen's expression felt a little lonely for a moment, and his voice was hoarse. Because of his past life, he had unconditional trust in Huowu. Haha, I never thought that my wishful thinking would end up being used. That's all. Ye Chen took a deep breath and tried his best to keep his tone calm. I once said that even if the world fails you, I will not fail you. I will fulfill this promise to the end. If you want to see my growth, I will let's show it to you. Ye Chen was like taking an oath, his light words concealed great determination, no one dared to underestimate him. The brothers looked at each other in silence. Along the way, they watched Ye Chen grow up, but they did not expect that as he grew up, he would be under increasing pressure. Looking at Ye Chen's lonely figure, Xiaoro's heart clenched suddenly. She remembered that when she first met Yuchen, she was still in the hospital. When he was injured, she would help him apply medicine and treat the wound herself. At that time, he was very ordinary and simple. He would not hesitate to put himself in danger for the sake of his friends, and he was so unhesitating. At that time, his pure smile looked heartwarming, naughty, and he liked to joke. Now that he has grown up, he seems to have become a different person, with less smiles on his face, and staring at people with his deep eyes will make people tremble. It is undeniable that he has become more charming than before, but he has also lost many precious things. If possible, Xiaoro hopes that Yuchen can get these things back one day. Brother Yuchen. Xiaomao's eyes were filled with tears, and he stared at Huowu with resentment. A man must keep his word. Huowu had a relaxed smile on her face, and she could see further than everyone else. It is true that she has selfish motives, but she is more concerned about Yuchen. In her eyes, a man should be upright, broad-minded, and tolerant of others. Yuchen is still far away, but his potential is indeed immeasurable, and Huowu feels that he needs to give him a push. Friends are the icing on the cake, brothers are the help in times of need, and confidants are the confidants who support and encourage each other. Brush the boss to speed up the upgrade progress. Yuchen's biggest growth is his mentality. He quickly restrained his negative emotions and led the team to defeat the boss. 2 days later, the tank finally reached level 15, and the rest of the team, except Xiaoro, who was at level 14, also reached level 15. The next day, Yuchen gathered everyone at the PK field early in the morning. The PK field, as the name suggests, is a place where players can compete with each other and PK. He opened a room, pulled everyone in, and took out the sacred weapon Black Turtle Shield. This, Yuchen, is this the holy weapon you stole from Suan Wu? You little bitch, didn't you fake the broadcast and say you didn't steal the sacred artifact? Thigh, it's so hard for you to hide it from us. The golden light of the holy weapon was shining, and it blinded the titanium alloy dog eyes of Tank and others in an instant. He howled loudly and made a sound of ecstasy. Xiaoro, Huowu, and Mao Mao also looked at him angrily. This guy is so good at hiding. Tank, look at the equipment. Yuchen was also slightly excited in his heart. If the tank is equipped with a Black Turtle Shield, it will become the first shield warrior of the light camp. What should I do if it's exploded? This sacred weapon must be worth millions. I can't afford to pay for it even if I sell the house. Tank licked his lips and said tremblingly. Coward. Yuchen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tank was usually better at showing off and being louder than anyone else, but at the critical moment he was so scared that he peed his pants, which was a complete embarrassment to a man. Okay, Tank, be strong. You are a shield warrior. If you are a coward, how can you lead our super gods? Yuchen stepped forward and patted Tank on the shoulder. Good. Tank chuckled and equipped the Black Turtle Shield. Suddenly, a giant shield 2 yards long appeared in his hand, as thick as a mountain. Complex and mysterious textures flow on the tough shield surface that protrudes outward. When the tank carries it, it is like a giant human-shaped wall, indestructible. At the same time, a system prompt sounded in Tank's ear. System, congratulations on your equipment Black Turtle Shield entering the Light Camp equipment ranking, ranking no 1. Do you want to hide the ID? Hide. Tank also likes to equip his equipment in front of his brothers. He is quite low-key, and the holy weapon is no joke. If he is too high profile, he may be targeted by everyone. On the other side, there were countless players in the mythical guild, who were always looking at the equipment rankings. As soon as the sacred weapon was refreshed, they immediately contacted Sinless. Humph. That night god is really dishonest. He actually stole the sacred weapon, Wu Wuxin snorted coldly, making all his subordinates tremble in shock. Boss, How about we do a broadcast? No, since there is a ranking list, interested people will naturally notice it. The sacred artifact must belong to our mythology. There is no need for more players to participate. Wuxin snorted coldly and said, inform the demon that all the elite groups 1 to 10 are at his disposal, so I can get the holy weapon as soon as possible. In addition to myths, more forces noticed the rankings, and it was a storm for a while. In the PK field, the tank was equipped with the Black Turtle shield, and its HP skyrocketed by 2,000, reaching more than 5,000. How terrifying! Huowu, tank, you 2 PK, Ye Chen suddenly ordered. Tank was stunned at first, then eager to try, while Huowu smiled and narrowed her beautiful eyes. She vaguely guessed what Ye Chen wanted to do and couldn't help but secretly praised him. Not long after, the two of them went on the stage. After the system countdown, the PK began. Tank roared and rushed out with the Black Tortoise shield, while Huowu stood still and chanted quietly. Just as Tank was about to approach, Huowu raised her hand and swung out a wall of fire. The wall of fire generated suction, causing Tank's speed to increase uncontrollably. He was shocked and stepped back with small steps to slow down his forward speed. From time to time, he was burned by the wall of fire, and -32, -25 and other minor injuries flashed over his head. Suddenly, a flame rushed up to Tank's heels and blew him into the sky, causing more than 1,000 points of damage. Huowu has high damage and high fire strength, but this flaming impact is indeed a bit high when it hits the shield warrior, as if the shield has lost its effect. Then, Huowu moved lightly and shot out flames to attack Tank, and the damage was still very high. Bang! Tank fell to the ground with his butt, looked at his sharply reduced HP, and was depressed. He was about to rush out, but was interrupted by Ye Chen. Okay, that's enough. Depressed, beautiful Huowu, I have such high double defense, why can you still deal such high damage? Tank asked. Because you didn't use the shield to block. Huowu smiled and replied. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 144. Combat professions rely on weapon output. If you attack with bare hands, only pure strength and intelligence will be calculated. Huowu looked at the tank sitting on the ground and smiled, the same goes for the shield warrior. If you don't use the shield to block, the high defense of the shield is just a decoration. If a combat professional faces a shield warrior and stares at the opponent's shield to attack, he is a rookie. In the same way, if a shield warrior fails to block the attack with his shield and is attacked in other parts, he is also a rookie. So, I'm just a rookie. Tank looked embarrassed. If someone else said this, he would be really anxious, but the other person is a top master, and it is valuable to be able to patiently guide him. Tank, let me PK with you next. Pay attention to blocking and improve your reaction ability. Ye Chen said something and exchanged blows with Huowu. The fight lasted for several hours. When Ye Chen gets tired, he will step down and replace him with someone else. What are you doing? What are you doing? You guys take turns to hum me. Tank was depressed, and the guys on the opposite side took turns to rest. Only he stood in the ring and never took a rest. You still want to rest? Practice your reactions quickly, otherwise we won't even dare to leave the city. Tank, you kid don't really want the sacred weapon to be exposed, do you? Okay, you guys are busy first, I'll go out and fight the landlord first. Seeing Tank's depressed look, Ye Chen and others suddenly became happy and sarcastic. Most of the day passed in a flash. Tank's foundation was already good. After targeted training, his reaction speeded up a lot, and he was able to block most attacks. Huowu had another PK with him, and it was already difficult to crush him. Of course, if Huowu was willing to wear him down slowly, he could wear him to death. In short, it was not as easy as before. Every time the flame impact is launched from the heel of the tank is 50% sure to withstand it with a parry. Parry, maintain a fixed posture and enter a hegemonic state for 3 seconds. If you move during this period, the parry will be cancelled. Cooling time, 5 seconds. Parrying is a level 15 skill of the Shield Warrior, and it is also the sole skill of this profession. Because the cooldown time is short, as long as it is used properly, it can withstand any attack. You must know that after entering the hegemonic state, you cannot be knocked back, knocked away, or frozen. Yechen, that's it? Tank is now 50% sure of parrying my flame blast, so there won't be much of a problem leaving the group. It will be difficult for him to improve in a short period of time. At the end of the day, Tank is naturally as tired as a dog, followed by Huowu. She has put in a lot of effort, and now she is very happy to see Tank making progress. As powerful as she is, she naturally knows the importance of the Shield Warrior in the team. Yechen handed the sacred weapon to him without hesitation, which shows that she has high hopes for him. It's not enough. Let's wait until he can parry your flame blast 100% before we join the group again. Yechen smiled lightly and said, the others were fine, but Tank had a pained face. Grandma, I have been tired for a day, and I feel that my skills have improved significantly. As Master Huao said, it will be difficult for me to improve in a short period of time. Everyone has bottlenecks. They can only break through and overcome them step by step. How can they be achieved overnight? Yechen, this kid, said this because he wanted to tire me to death. Yechen, are you serious? If you continue to practice like this, in about a year, the tank may be 90% sure to parry my flame impact, Huowu said angrily. My current technology is about the same as that of a tank. Without interference from other external forces, I am absolutely sure to avoid your flames. Why can't a tank? Yechen said confidently. For it. Huowu was slightly stunned. In her impression, Yechen was not a person who was aimless. On the contrary, he was very low-key and knew how to hide his trump card. How many trump cards does Yechen have? She doesn't know. For example, how could she guess if he didn't take out the holy weapon? But even so, at this moment she still felt that Yechen's words were a bit exaggerated. Not to mention Yechen, even the strong men at the same level as her, such as Sinless, Mingtian, Susha, etc., they cannot say that they are 100% sure to avoid her flame blast. Well, let's try PK. Yechen glanced at Huowu provocatively and stepped into the ring first. Huowu also looked eager to try. She wanted to know how Yechen could avoid the impact of his own flames. After the system counts down, PK begins. Sea of Fire. Huowu first released the Sea of Fire, so that Yechen would be in a continuous attack state, so that he would not be able to sneak in and become invisible. Hey hey. Yechen smiled indifferently. He had no intention of becoming invisible at all. The purpose of this PK was to prove to Huowu that he was 100% sure to avoid her flame attack. 3 seconds later, Huowu created a wall of fire, restraining Yechen to some extent, and then, the flames struck. However, Yechen turned around nimbly and avoided the pillar of fire before it rushed up. Huowu's beautiful eyes flashed with shock, and she drank a bottle of CD potion. After the skill cooled down, she tried several times in a row, but Yechen avoided them all. Are you sentient? Huowu reacted so quickly, and after just testing it a few times, he exclaimed in shock. Nowadays, Yechen's reaction, consciousness, and CD control of various professional skills are still slightly inferior to those of the top experts. This is definitely not something that can be caught up in a day or two. Countless battles are needed to accumulate experience. A true strong man has so much combat experience that he doesn't even need to think, his body will dance by itself. Swing, sway, rub, rub. When they reach that level, they are all gods of war, and have transcended the boundaries of reaction and consciousness, because they no longer need them. Because of this, Huowu can make such a decisive conclusion. She has not reached that level, and Yechen is even less likely to do so. Therefore, the reason why Yechen was able to avoid her flames must be that he has perception. Yes, I have 2 points of perception, Yechen smiled and replied. Tisk tisk. After receiving Yechen's affirmative answer, Huowu couldn't stop being surprised and envious. She is an elf, and her racial talent is perception, which is actually equivalent to 2 points of perception. But Yechen is not an elf, and he actually has 2 points of perception. In comparison, what advantages does her racial talent have? Some time ago, there was a very popular post with the title "A Human Perception Thief" appeared. I didn't expect it to be you. Huowu looked at Yechen speechlessly. I really didn't know how many cards this guy had hidden. Don't be envious, Tank and everyone else, I will let you all have 2 points of perception later. Yechen smiled mysteriously. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 145. With that said, Yechen revealed the attributes of the title Perceiver. Purple quality title. Add 2 points of perception. Everyone was extremely envious and asked eagerly, Yechen, how do you get this title? The heroic soul on the 5th floor of the Tower of Death, nothingness, you can get it by missing him 1000 times, Yechen said with a smile. Missed 1000 attacks? Oh my god. How long have you been doing this? Huowu was extremely surprised. Yes, this is very difficult to master. Even if you wear an evasion suit, it will take at least a few days, right? After hearing what Yechen said, everyone's faces fell. 2 points of perception. Everyone wants this attribute, but it's too troublesome. It doesn't take a few days. Each person has 2 hours to complete the mission while lying down. Get the title. For it. Everyone looked at each other in shock, but saw Yechen summoning a somersault cloud, an expanding somersault cloud. They all knew that Yechen had such a somersault cloud, but they didn't know what his purpose was. Void's attack mode is very simple. It can't jump or attack from a distance. If you lie on the somersault cloud, he won't be able to attack. Just lie down and shoot miss. Hiss. Hearing this, everyone's lips twitched. Can this mission be played like this? Okay, I'll lend you the somersault cloud and take turns to be the names. We'll go out as a group tomorrow, Yechen said with a smile. Yechen, you really surprise me, Huowu said bluntly. Everyone also looked at Yechen as if they were looking at monsters, and their hearts agitated. Everyone in the group had 2 points of perception. The 2 elves, Huowu and Monkey, even have 4 points of perception. Such a team is not afraid of sneak attacks by thieves at all. Would you like to try a sneak attack? I'll kill you instantly with my backhand. Humph, there are still many things that will surprise you in the future. Yechen smiled proudly, turned around and left the PK field. He didn't care about it next. Anyway, the somersault cloud had been loaned out, and they would divide the work to complete the task. And he took advantage of this time to go to the training ground again to practice his skills, mainly focusing on the stun dart and power attack, these 2 newly acquired skills. The next day, Yechen gathered the team and headed out of the city. At the street corner, some players will suddenly appear from time to time, and then disappear again. Yechen, there are thieves following us, Huowu said first, and the faces of the others immediately tightened. Didn't we already know that? Now that the Black Turtle shield has been released, and considering the fact that I stole Black Tortoise last time, it's normal for someone to target me. Yechen smiled and said, needless to say, there are at least 3 groups blocking us outside the city now. Hearing what Yechen said, everyone relaxed and said with a smile, Tank, you have a long way to go. Hearing this, Tank smiled and looked eager to try. On the other side, Yao received a message from his subordinates. Ye Shen is preparing to leave the city, the west gate. Baiyun city is very large, with 4 city gates in the east, west, north, and south. Under the order of Zunguo, he has sent 10 elite groups to block the 4 gates respectively. Very good, 5, 8, 9, the leaders of these 3 teams are listening to the order. Yagamai has now left the city in your direction. Your mission is to deliver. Make them famous. Try your best to delay the time, and only allow the killing of red names. If anyone in your team impulsively kills the other party before the red name is known, tell him to get out of here immediately. The rest of the team will all return to the city within 3 minutes and rush to the west gate for support. Yao has already formed a team with other group leaders. Now that he cannot create a guild, there is no guild channel. It is the most convenient way to issue orders in this way. Yes, the group leaders responded loudly. After the player dies, there is only a certain chance that the equipment will explode. If a red-named player dies, at least one piece of equipment will explode. Under normal circumstances, when the red name dies, several pieces of equipment will be dropped, and there is a greater chance that all the equipment in the body will be exploded. In this case, the possibility of them revealing the sacred weapon will be greatly increased. Not long after, Ye Chen and others arrived outside the West City. There was not a single player in sight. They had obviously been cleared by the Grand Guild. Then they advanced a certain distance, and a war cry sounded, and they saw about 30 players surrounding them from different directions. Don't panic, everyone, trick them out of their malicious attacks first, Ye Chen ordered. In a moment, the opponent had the back row to launch long-range skills. Boom. System, your team is maliciously attacked by the player Myth, Lao Wang. Within 30 minutes, you can launch a legal counter-attack. System, your team is maliciously attacked by the player Myth Iron Cannon. Within 30 minutes, you can launch a legal counter-attack. System prompts kept coming from their ears, and everyone was startled. They didn't form a team, Tank shouted in surprise. If you form a team, if one person causes a malicious attack, the whole team will be related. But after these people in Xinhui caused malicious attacks, they did not form a team connection. This proves that they are not teaming up with each other. They are delivering food. They want to deceive us into being famous. The main force is still behind. Huo Wu was experienced and could see through it at a glance. You know, after forming a team, teammates cannot attack each other, and the skills will penetrate. This is very convenient during team battles. If you don't form a team, you may accidentally hit one of your own, the combat effectiveness is very limited. In a big melee, it can even be said to be negative. As for people like Xinhui, since they are not in a team, they are obviously here to deliver food and want to deceive people into becoming famous. Everyone is equal in all settings of the game. The smarter the player, the more he will use the settings to achieve his own goals. Haha, this team leader is really good. Okay, since they are here to serve us food, we don't have to be polite. Kill them all. Ye Chen gave an order, and the whole team attacked frantically. After killing several people in a row, they were all red-named. They are red-named, mission completed. Retreat, go back and form a team and come again. The other team leader gave an order and began to retreat. At the same time, the other 2 teams of Shenhua, who were hiding in the bushes in the distance, rushed out violently. Tank, open the cover after approaching. Ye Chen smiled sinisterly, roared, and led the 9-man team to rush towards the other 2 fully equipped elite teams. Looking for death. The demon boss attaches so much importance to them, and I thought they were so powerful, but they are all SB. The 2 team leaders smiled at each other, led the team to meet them in big strides, and the 2 sides fought hard together. Roar. Suddenly, a huge roar sounded, as if it came from ancient times. A yellowish-brown tortoise suddenly appeared above Tank's head. The huge tortoise roared and protected Tank and his teammates. -1. -1. -1. The opponent attacked countless times, but could not break the defense of the tortoise, because its defense was 10 times that of Tank. Haha, Grandpa stands still and lets you hit him. Can you hit him? Tank laughed wildly. He moved, and the tortoise moved, like a moving diamond shield. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 146. Grass, is that the effect of the holy weapon? Directly summon Suanwuo. Don't panic. It's just a Suanwuo shadow. Although it can move, it doesn't seem to be able to attack. But its defense is very high and it can't be beaten. We have to fight even if we can't. If we don't destroy it, we won't be able to kill those guys. The Shinwei team looked at the phantom of the black turtle and the dense -1 damage caused by the team's concentrated fire. They were shocked beyond measure and dumbfounded. Hee, now that things have happened, they still want to kill us, brothers, kill us. Yuchen laughed wildly and led his team to rush over and harvest wildly. Magical circle darkness surges. Tank not only opened the turtle cover, but also opened the special magic circle. The dark surge of LV4 increased the attributes of all team members by 40%. In an instant, a strong wind whipped up under the feet of Yechen and others. This was a buff special effect that greatly improved agility. The whole body is flashing with red, green, blue, and other colors of rays of light. This is a buff effect that greatly improves attributes such as strength, intelligence, and physical strength. For a moment, Yuchen, Huowu, and others were like gods of war descending to earth, so terrifying. Yuchen's speed suddenly increased too much, one knife at a time, and the rhythm could not be stopped at all. The opponent can't hit you at all, it's like they are standing still and shooting at you. What is the concept of that? Seconds. Close your eyes for a second. In addition to Da Yuchen, the two Berserker warriors, Fatty and Bao Bao, also showed great power, turning on the violent buff and killing like crazy. Quickly accumulate fury points, your whole body will turn red, your damage will be doubled, and you will enter a dominating state. The three men were fighting in close combat, just like chopping melons and vegetables, killing one with one knife. Because of the terrifying speed, they could swing 2 or 3 knives in 1 second. The Berserker used brutal collision, directly knocking them away and killing them in a line. Compared with the three of them, Huao, Monkey, and Fire Tube, although they are fire mages with high bursts and their attributes have been greatly improved at the moment, the mages do not have large-scale group attack skills in the early stage, and their harvesting efficiency is not as good as that of yet. Chen 3 people. Even so. 3 seconds later, more than half of the enemy soldiers were dead, and their faces looked complicated, shocked, and distorted. What's going on? Their myth has always been that they are invincible and invincible. But now, their two elite groups attacked at the same time against a team of only 9 people, they actually didn't win, but killed most of the elites. The opponent's formation is a special formation, and the elves in the formation are invisible. Zuzi, where are your bloody eyes? Kill the elves? I hummed your sister, I need you to teach me. I opened my bloody eyes a long time ago, but all my attacks were blocked by Suanwuo. Ri, how do you fight this? For a moment, the two leaders of Shinwei group panicked and began to quarrel with each other. One last look at each other and decisively ordered a retreat. 60 people fought against 9 people, but they couldn't win and had to retreat. You laughed, 60 of you attacked 9 of us together, and now you are defeated and you have the nerve to run away? If I were you, I would just commit suicide and go back to the city. I can't afford to lose this person. Tank suddenly sneered when he saw that the enemy was trying to escape. This cunt. The elites of Shinwei have always been invincible, and over time they have developed an arrogant character. Now that they have defeated the battle with overwhelming numbers, they feel aggrieved, ashamed and angry, but at this time, there are still people who are ridiculing. Where can I stand it? Boss Demon and the others are coming right away, we just need to hold them back. That's right. They have sacred weapons. If we lose, we will lose. There is nothing to be ashamed of. The demon boss will arrive at the battlefield in 5 minutes at most, let's hold on. The two captains each issued orders to their own teams, and then they stopped fighting to the death and began to wander. Tank, everyone, follow me. If you break a hole, retreat. Looking at them like this, there should be reinforcements behind them. Ye Chen gave the order and rushed out towards the opposite side. The people behind him followed and rushed out. They opened an opening with a wild sweep and escaped smoothly. At this moment, the tank's turtle guardian cooled down, and the turtle's shadow disappeared. Did they run away? Everyone in Shinwei was shocked. They were shouting so joyfully and arrogantly before, but now they run away first? Looks like that turtle cover only lasts a few seconds, so we were fooled. After a wave of pursuit, Shinwei and the others failed to catch up, and they were so depressed that they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. A few minutes later, the demon arrived on the battlefield, with hundreds of people behind him. He looked around the battlefield, but did not see Ye Chen or Huo Wu, and his face instantly darkened. 3 elite groups, half of them are now dead. Well, the other party has a sacred weapon. This is understandable. I just don't understand why there are so many of you and you can't even stop the 9 of them. The demon's eyes were cold, and after careful planning, he directly launched 10 elite groups, but unexpectedly they still failed. What a great opportunity to make all the opponents famous. Once killed, the sacred weapon is likely to be revealed. Now that Ye Chen and others were gone, he suddenly felt that the hundreds of people behind him were so ridiculous. All the work was in vain. The 2 group leaders who were asked were speechless. They had nothing to say. That's all, you can review it yourself. Yao Lan didn't want to look at the 2 of them again, turned his back to everyone, and ordered, "Order, all the Jin group, support group, and peripheral members should stop what they are doing and look for Ye Chen, Huo Wu and the others. Make sure that all monster areas are monitored by someone. Especially in some dungeon areas, their average level has exceeded level 15. With the holy weapon in hand, the next step is probably to grab the first kill of each major dungeon. Keep an eye on me. Boss Demon, Boss Guilty only gives you the permission to mobilize 10 elite groups. Now you have to use all the strength of the guild, which is a bit inappropriate." The group leaders were shocked. The guild was highly hierarchical and each level had its own tasks. The gold group, the support group, and even the peripheral members each have their own tasks, and through hard work, they will bring huge profits to the guild every minute and second. This is not just a matter of stopping, that would be too much of a loss, and if it's not done well, what will they do to the club's bosses? Therefore, except for the president, no one has the power to use the power of the entire guild. There's nothing wrong with it. Sooner or later, I will be in charge of Shinwei's future. What's the difference between my order and his order? Yao sneered, wild and uninhibited, I'm 10 years younger than him. Who do you think has more potential? Hiss. Everyone gasped. In the era of keyboard online games, Myth Club and Myth Guild have been established, and now have a history of more than 20 years. Each generation will give birth to a super strong person, who will eventually hand over the baton to the previous president and become the president. All past presidents were not good, but before taking office, they were all very low-key, obeying and assisting their seniors. But Yao, he doesn't seem to care about innocence at all. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wangshi-san. Chapter 147. If the demon's words were heard by Su Xian, how would he feel? Yao is indeed very talented and has great potential, but after all, he is young and has no experience in many things. And Gillen is only 30 years old, which is the age when men become ambitious. There is no need to say more about his methods and strength. He has been in office the longest among all Xinhui presidents. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Now the myth, he almost dominates the sky with one hand, and he personally holds a share in the club, which is the first person in history. Do you want to overthrow the demon now? Monster, no one can challenge the current position of the sinless boss. If he is willing, there is no problem in continuing to serve as the president for a few years. The group leaders took a deep breath and advised, you are still young now, and you will have many opportunities in the future. Boss Gillen also intends to train you, why are you in a hurry? It is better to keep a low profile to avoid making mistakes and delaying your future. When people go up, water flows down. You frogs in the well, who are satisfied with being the captain of the war hall, how can you understand my thoughts and my ambitions? Yao snorted coldly, with a look of disdain on his face. This time, as long as we obtain the sacred weapon, form the strongest elite group, triumph all the way, and win the first kill of each major dungeon. In a short time, we can be in the light, the camp will dominate. When the old guys in the club are happy, they may let me take office. If you have a bird down there and a little bit of the blood of a man, you should go crazy with me. The demon is both a painting and an aggressive general. He was fascinated by what the captain said and his face was moved. But, if the innocent boss knows. The group leaders are still cautious, they are afraid of standing in the wrong team. Fortunately, if the demon succeeds, they will become famous. If they fail, how can the innocent side give them a good look? Maybe fired directly. I will bear all the consequences. What if I know I am not guilty? Now those old guys are very optimistic about me. If it is just a chance to prove myself, I believe they are willing to give it to me. Even if I am not guilty, he will don't try to interfere. The demon chief laughed, and a powerful domineering energy appeared all over his body, which was heart-wrenching. He does have this confidence, and the owners and shareholders of Xinhui Club are indeed very optimistic about him. Under normal circumstances, the boss only sees performance, and whoever does well will do it. But there is one situation that is different, and that is to support newcomers. Guilty can now dominate the sky with one hand, but how many years can he do it? Now is the time for young people. Nowadays, young people have developed thinking and advanced consciousness, making it easier to create brilliance. Yao is a good young man. When they saw him at that time, those old guys seemed to have seen a big treasure and smiled from ear to ear. It's just a chance. If they are willing to give it, what's the harm in letting the demon go and do it? Success shows that he is really capable. Even failure is a lesson. Okay. Monster Giant, let's fight with you, and we will accomplish everything in one fell swoop. What a coward! The leaders of the group roared with pride and immediately began to implement the plan. On the other side, Ye Chen and others have arrived at Taiping Town, a small town in Baiyun City. Ye Chen, think about it carefully. Just now, the two elite groups of Xinhui insisted on stalling for time. They must have reinforcements. Your order to retreat was very wise, Huo Wu said. After the battle, she was still analyzing. This concentration was the secret to her success. Well, Xinhui's people are indeed not simple. The quality of their elite team is much higher than other teams. Ye Chen nodded in agreement. This is one of them. More importantly, they have a powerful leader commanding them. That person should be a demon. Huo Wu said, I have had contact with the demon. This person is so arrogant that he doesn't seem to put anyone in his eyes, including his guild president. However, he is really capable. In terms of combat effectiveness alone, he can vaguely be on par with the first-line powerhouses. More importantly, he is young, but he knows how to deploy troops and his tactics are very sophisticated. If I am not wrong, he should born in the declining Gwa family. Demon. Ye Chen was slightly stunned. His impression of the demon only stayed at the battle in the desert. In his previous life, he had never heard of this person. According to Huo Wu's evaluation, this person was very talented and should become a well-known and powerful person who defied the heavens. However, in the myths of the previous life, the only ones who truly ruled the world were Sinless and Huo Wu, and there was no such figure as Yao. It's normal to think about it. In any field, there is only a small area at the top of the pyramid, but below it is a mountain of swords and a sea of fire. The real strong men are all killed in blood. In the gaming field, it is equally cruel, and some people even do not hesitate to bring hatred into reality. Among them, some geniuses died young, which is normal. Talent is only potential, not strength. The guy with the blood tree in his previous life could have become a god if he had been more low-key, but he just quit the world. Come to think of it, this demon followed the same path in his previous life. Ye Chen, it seems that you are the same age as the demon, equally outstanding and have amazing potential. He may become your biggest enemy in the future. Huo Wu stared at Ye Chen with her beautiful eyes and said with a smile. He. Ye Chen smiled, rather disapprovingly. Just kidding, he is destined to be a man who wants to live together. He will crush everyone who stands in his way. How can a guy who died young in his previous life be qualified to be his strong enemy? In short, you have to be careful. This person is not easy to deal with. Seeing Ye Chen's confident look, Huo Wu also smiled with relief and said, next, we have to take the first kill of each dungeon. He must be able to guess this and will find a way to target it. Ye Chen, now we have too few troops and cannot be deployed in many places. Do you have a plan to create a guild? I do have this plan, but my guild does not need to be controlled by others. I want to be the president and the biggest boss. Own the largest shares. Since Ye Chen wants to do it, he must do it thoroughly. He does not like to be manipulated or controlled by others. In an instant, Ye Chen's eyes flashed with a strong domineering aura, which was impressive. Very good, it's great that you have this ambition. But your ambition is a bit big. Without sufficient financial resources, it will be difficult to succeed, Huo Wu said. Well, I'm not in a hurry. Before we create a guild, we can cooperate with other guilds to fight monsters and myths. Ye Chen smiled and said, Huo Wu, you have resources, for example, the Blood Tyrant Alliance is good, you can use it. Ye Chen smiled very darkly. Haha, okay, but one Blood Tyrant Alliance is far from enough. It's okay, I'll talk about the rest. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 148. Night God to kill, add a friend and chat. Searched Can on Google. During a certain mission session, Shueisha suddenly received a private message from Ye Chen. He was stunned for a moment, and then a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. If you don't look for me, I still want to look for you. Shueisha Fu Wei said, added Ye Chen as a friend, and sent a voice message, Ye Xin, the number 1 in the league rankings, you are anonymous again, right? Assassin's League ranking. No 1, anonymous, level 17, assassin, contribution points. It's so obvious. They are all thieves, but he is an assassin. Moreover, he stole Suanwu some time ago, and he must have completed the S-level mission by the way, which is exactly 20,000 contribution points. Shueisha even felt that Ye Chen's anonymity was ironic. Now that everyone who cares a little bit knows it's him, why is anonymity so useless? A turtle is still a turtle, and dogs can't change that. Yes, it's me. Yechen's chuckle came from his ears, causing Shueisha to snort again and said, "You should know, you have already won the chief position, and there will be no reward even if you win it again. The remaining members of the alliance will. I hope you won't steal this A-level mission from me." "Well, I'm looking for you this time just to talk to you about this matter." Yechen chuckled and said, "I can give you the title of chief this month, but you need to do me a favor." Hiss. Shueisha took a deep breath and felt a fire beating in his heart. He suppressed and said, "Did I hear it wrong? What the hell, you won't get a reward even if you get the chief title? Then why do you say you'll give it to me? Are you still telling me the conditions? I don't care about a little reward. If I can disgust you and kill the Great Master, and suppress all your killer guilds, I feel very satisfied. Ahem. Now do you think I can't negotiate terms? You are really smart. Do you know you are playing with fire?" Shueisha sneered. "Now, I'm going to let you go today. You have to agree even if you agree, or you have to agree if you don't agree. Otherwise, not only this month, but from now on, I will take care of all the chiefs of the Assassin's Alliance." Snort. Shueisha groaned when he heard the words. His eyes were as sharp as lightning, but there was also a faint fear in his heart. If anyone else had said this to him, he would not have frowned, but now it was Yechen who said this, who stepped over his body and became the first man to win the title of chief. And in the second month, Yechen also completed S-level tasks, and his contribution far exceeded everyone else. He just did a few more A-level tasks, and this month he became the chief. Once may be a coincidence, but twice in a row is not that simple. Moreover, Yechen is now in the limelight. He stole the sacred artifact from Suanwu and recruited Huowu to join his half-assed team. All these things prove that Yechen is really capable. Strength. He didn't dare to gamble. Their killer guild is all thieves, and there is only one chief every month. In addition to him and Mingtian, there are many masters in the guild who are watching eagerly. If Yechen is really crazy, will they have to suffer and die? How about it? Have you considered it? We are all thieves. We are in the same alliance and we are born from the same roots. Why are we in such a hurry? Speaking of which, there is no direct contradiction or conflict between me and your killer guild. It depends on whether you would like to have one more enemy or one more friend. The Killers Guild, in my mind, is just a bounty alliance. I use people's money to eliminate disasters for others. Although I didn't pay, I still provided you with convenience. Now I ask you to do me a favor. Why do you just do that? Difficulty. Yechen's voice rang in Shueisha's ears one after another, making him angry and depressed. What is this? A slap in the face and a candy? Shueisha, you boy, can you concentrate on the mission? Don't forget that you will assist me this month and help me win the title. On the side, Mingtian couldn't help but remind him when he saw Shueisha standing still for a long time. Chief Fart, that guy Yechen wants to fight with us, Shueisha snorted. Yechen? What's going on? Isn't he already the chief of the alliance? Mingtian looked confused when he heard this, and then Shueisha told him the whole story. Mingtian, what do you think? Shueisha asked. Well, I think we can cooperate with him. Our guild is not like other giants. The real boss is you and me. We have limited funds. If we want to achieve greater development, we need to cooperate with capable people. Mingtian said, if I'm not wrong, Yechen should be in big trouble. He is probably targeted by Xinhui and wants to ask us for help. So, you mean to promise him? Well, agree, Xinhui can't do anything to us. Mingtian smiled. As a thieves guild, even if they are defeated, they can escape without being seriously injured. Compared to Myth, Night God dominates the alliance every month, which makes them more miserable and helpless. After a while, Shueisha contacted Yechen again. Yechen, we agreed to help this time. I don't want you to threaten us with the Alliance Chief's affairs in the future. Haha, don't worry. There is no reward for taking over the top spot. I would do something like that because I was out of my mind. Well, I seem to have spilled the beans, I'm sorry. Shueisha twitched the corner of his mouth, continued chatting with Ye Chen about related matters, and then hung up. On the other side, there is the monster area near Taiping Town. After finishing the call with Shueisha, Ye Chen breathed a sigh of relief and smiled slightly. Then, he led the team to find a leveling point and started to spawn monsters. After the main city, the dungeons are all large-scale dungeons. The dungeons in Baiyun City are all level 15 dungeons. There is such a dungeon in Taiping Town. At this moment, Xiaoro is only level 14, but she is not far from level 15, so she needs to be brought to level 15 first. Panda Territory. This is a bamboo forest. The monsters in it are monsters similar to pandas, but much more ferocious. They are level 15 monsters. There are a lot of pandas here, most of them are hanging on the bamboo. Ye Chen knocks them down with darts. Below is the sea of fire released by Huowu, monkey, and fire tube, burning fiercely. Pandas have low fire resistance, and using the sea of fire to spawn monsters is very efficient. Everyone go to the auction house to buy fuel to speed up the efficiency of spawning monsters. Ye Chen instructed, raised his hand and threw a few bottles of fuel into the fire. The fire gradually became fiercer, and the pandas howled in pain. Dozens of them rushed in a wave, but they could not break the defense of the tank. They persisted in the flames for a few seconds and died one after another. Soon, the next wave of monsters appeared, also hanging on the bamboo. Ye Chen and Xiao Mao were responsible for knocking them down with darts, and they continued in a cycle. It was really easy to kill monsters like this, and the experience was also rich. Ye Chen summoned the beautiful snake pet for the first time in a long time, and let her also gain experience. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 149. Half a day later, Xiaoro finally reached level 15. Level 15 in Baiyun City is a hurdle, and the experience of brushing dungeons can't be stopped. Of course, the dungeons after the main city are all large dungeons, and the difficulty is definitely not comparable to the novice village dungeons. Google searched can. Ordinary teams can't brush through them at all. Now there are as many as 10 dungeons discovered by players in Baiyun City, and only 3 of them have been killed first, which shows how difficult the dungeons are. Of course, Ye Chen's team has the holy weapon, and it will definitely be like a broken army, and take the first kill of each dungeon. As for the dungeons that have been killed first, there is no need to worry about them. There is a dungeon in Taiping Town, and it has not been killed first. An hour later, Ye Chen and others gathered online after lunch and entered Taiping Town. Red names are not allowed to exist in the main cities, otherwise the NPC guards will attack and kill them. There are no guards in the towns and villages attached to them, and red names can also swagger in. Ye Chen led the team forward. From time to time, there would be passers-by passing by. Seeing these famous players, they were no longer surprised. Taiping Town does not cover a large area. Looking around, there are only some bungalows. Except for a giant tower, there are no other tall buildings. The giant tower is called Soul Calming Tower. This is the dungeon, and it is full of dead ghosts. This dungeon is quite difficult. Many elite groups have given up temporarily after failing to open up the land. Because of this, there are not many people near the Soul Calming Tower at this moment. Some of them are not even level 15, which is very strange. They are not even level 15, and they can't enter the dungeon at all. What are they doing here? Hee hee, those guys must be spies of mythology. Yechen smiled softly, glanced at Huowu, and said, "The news must have been passed. When we get the first kill, this place will definitely be surrounded by mythology. Well, I will contact Bixu Kangtian now. He can send 5 elite groups. If mythology also sends 5 elite groups, or even more elite groups, they may not be able to resist," Huowu said. "5 elite groups are enough. Don't worry. I have found some help." Yechen smiled slightly, sent a message to Shueisha, and led the team to the soul calming tower. There was a soul calming master under the tower. "Adventurers, you need to buy a soul calming talisman before you can enter the soul calming tower. The so-called soul calming talisman is actually the ticket for the dungeon. One ticket costs 100 copper coins. Everyone bought one ticket and entered the soul calming tower. System, you have entered the dungeon soul calming tower. The difficulty is normal. According to the map, this soul calming tower is as high as 30 floors. There will be a room at the end of each floor. After entering, you will be automatically teleported to the next floor. After opening 30 floors, you will be considered to have passed the dungeon. And tower buildings are more spacious as they go down. The first floor is very large, covering an area of more than 300 square meters. Looking around, there were countless ghosts with disheveled hair, white coats, and transparent bodies floating in the air. Ghost, common monster. Level 15. HP, 300/300. Skills, Howl of Terror, Possession. Notes, Physical Attack Immunity. Woo woo woo. Found living things, countless ghosts cried out in resentment and gathered around everyone. These monsters are immune to physical attacks, and can only be attacked with magic. Because they are floating monsters, the Sea of Fire is ineffective. In addition, their skills add chaos effects. Everyone take chaos resistance potions, be careful. Yechen has been to the most places, his recognition is far superior to everyone else, and his insight into the attributes of monsters is also the most comprehensive. At this moment, he acts as the team's commentator. Immune to physical attacks. Hearing this, everyone's head suddenly became as big as a bucket. Yechen also smiled bitterly, "No way, I'm done, Huowu, monkey, fire tube, it's up to you." "Well, tank, charge." Huowu responded and ordered tank to charge. Then, a fire explosion exploded above tank's head. Those stupid ghosts thought that tank was scaring them, and immediately rushed towards tank. And tank naturally raised his shield to block and withstand the damage. Huowu and the other 3 mages knocked out a bottle of CD potion and continued to attack with skills. Tank held the black turtle shield, with high double defense and even more terrifying HP. Moreover, the attack power of the ghosts was not strong. Even if they attacked at the same time, tank could withstand it. Huowu and others slowly harvested, and finally the first scream of fear broke out in the monster group. The scream like a sonic boom made everyone's eardrums hurt. Bao Bao was not equipped with a chaos resistance potion. He entered a state of confusion at that time, swaying randomly, and occasionally waving a giant sword to attack his companions. The baby's damage is quite high, and everyone is afraid of him and stays away from him. In this case, the priest can use the dispel skill to remove the baby's confusion. But at this moment, Xiaoro and Denai did not take action. They had their own ideas and were ready to leave the dispel to the tank. In this regard, Yechen and Huowu did not say much. Sometimes excessive command will disrupt the rhythm of the team. This is one of the reasons. There is a more important point, which is to cultivate the self-awareness of the team. The excessive command of the team leaders can easily make their subordinates develop habits and inertia. At the critical moment, the team leader can't command them, and they are directly confused, which is really embarrassing. The elite group will not be like this. Yechen definitely wants to create an elite group. It is very important to cultivate the team's self-awareness. A few minutes later, under the orderly attack of Huowu and others, more than half of the ghosts were killed or injured. The remaining ghosts became more and more timid, and the frequency of their terrifying howls increased greatly. Although everyone took the chaos resistance potion, it only reduced the chance of being confused a little. Under the group attack of the ghosts, they also entered the chaos state many times. It doesn't matter if other people are confused, just avoid them intentionally. Mainly the tank, who was confused repeatedly. After Xiaoro and Denai solved it twice in seconds, the Dispel CD could not keep up. When the tank fell into a state of confusion again, he actually started dancing. Without the shields blocking, he gave the ghosts an opportunity. They pounced down and bit the tank's neck. The tank let out a miserable roar and was possessed by a large number of ghosts at the same time. He was like a slave, carrying a large number of white ghosts on his back, and a layer of pale light was shrouded all over his body, which looked very evil. He fell into a high-level chaos. He stopped dancing and became irritable. He raised his shield and led several ghosts to attack. Bloody light. Petrification attack. Fortunately, at this time, the two control skills of Huowu and Monkey worked and trapped the tank. After several seconds, the ghost's possession ended and everything returned to normal. After about 10 minutes, everyone pushed the first floor with difficulty. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wangshi-san. Chapter 150. Only the first floor. Everyone has a deep understanding of the difficulty of this soul-calming tower dungeon. Physical attack immunity. Damn, I just hope that the monsters in the later floors will not be of this nature. After sighing for a while, everyone cleaned up the battlefield, rested for a few minutes, restored HP and MP, and after all skills were cooled down, they rushed into the second floor. There are still vengeful spirits on the second floor, but the number is much less than that of the first floor, but there is one more kind of undead warriors wearing armor and holding swords. These undead warriors are ugly, with red eyes, strong lethality, and high double defense. They are level 18 monsters. For ordinary teams, even some elite teams, this is a big challenge, but Yechen and others are at least level 15 purple clothes, and they are not afraid of fighting these monsters at all. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Yellow Ji Shenyang. It's an investment of tens of thousands, this is not a joke. Huowu, you fight the ghosts, fatty baby, you follow me to kill the undead warriors. Yechen gave an order, and Tank rushed forward immediately. Huowu also threw a blasting spell on his head to help him attract monsters, and then everyone worked together. Magic circle, darkness surges. Tank raised his shield to hold the monster and released a huge purple magic circle. Special magic circle, the highest level of magic circle elves derived from it, can be invisible and move. According to the skills of the magic circle, their movement speed will become faster and faster. Facing players, if the opponent has blood-red eyes, it is quite tricky. But facing monsters, there is no problem at all. In an instant, all teammates were amplified, and the wind rolled up under their feet. Various colors of light appeared all over their bodies, like gods of war. Kill. Yechen roared, rushed forward, used several skills in succession, turned his body sharply, and strangled several undead warriors in an instant. The fat baby also turned on the rage buff. The more he fought, the more fierce he became. After the rage was full, the damage doubled, and red light appeared all over his body, entering the hegemony state. The berserker is indeed a very fierce profession. At the beginning, the burst is not high. Once the rage points are full, it will burst continuously. The more you fight, the stronger you will be, and the stronger you will be, the crazier you will be. Don't be timid when playing a berserker. Once you are timid, the moment you exit the combat state, the rage points will start to decrease, the hegemony will disappear, and the doubled damage will disappear. At this moment, the fat baby fought more aggressively and fiercely. Under the 3-level amplification of Rage, and Dark Surge, their damage can vaguely be equal to Yachen. With the speed skyrocketing, they are like killing machines, slashing wildly, killing an undead warrior with 2 knives, and continuing to pounce on the next one. They can't stop at all. 1 minute later, the magic circle disappeared, and a large number of monsters on this level also died. Everyone continued to attack, and soon the field was cleared. It was so fast and so cool. Looking at the spoils on the ground, Fatty Baby and the others were too lazy to pick them up, and they were eager to kill to the next floor. "Hey, you two pick up the things, the automatic pickup is very fast." Yachen laughed and scolded, and everyone quickly cleaned up and killed to the next floor. The tank rushed forward, and Fatty Baby followed closely, and soon accumulated rage again, and the damage was off the charts. But without the increase of the magic circle, their attack frequency dropped suddenly. The third floor was similar to the second floor, with more monsters and a few more elite monsters. Even so, it took nearly 10 minutes for everyone to push the third floor. It is conceivable how much the special magic circle has increased everyone, but its cooling time is too long, 10 minutes. It is impossible to release it on every floor. Half an hour later, everyone finally killed to the 5th floor. This is how a large copy is, with rich experience and high benefits, but it takes too long and is very difficult. This is just the beginning. In the later stage, some top-level dungeons, such as Dragon Palace, Sun Valley, Ghost Tower, are hundreds or thousands of layers at any time, and ordinary elite groups can't beat them at all. Why? There are too few people. How many people are there in the elite group? The maximum configuration is 30 people. After the opening of the Camp War, players can get military merits, become officers, and improve their ranks. Officers have the ability to command generals, marshals, and command tens of thousands of troops. At that time, players will have the ability to brush high-level sacred beasts, fight top-level dungeons, and even kill gods. And PK also has an advantage, and the commander is equivalent to forming a group, a large team, so that you will not hurt your teammates and break the army all the way. Of course, there are very few players who can become generals or even marshals. In the previous life, Yachen didn't say generals or marshals, he was just a high-level soldier in the end, not even a humming officer. But in this life, he is the first batch of players to enter the game, and he has an advantage against the sky. It is estimated that it is only a matter of time to take down the marshal. Outside the Soul Calming Tower. At this moment, Yao led the mythical army, a total of 10 elite groups, and surrounded this place. Don't worry, everyone Yeshen's team has a holy weapon and may be able to get the first kill. There was constant noise around. Yao raised his hand to signal everyone to stop, and said, "This will take at least 2 hours, everyone wait patiently, now they are still red names, wait for them to come out, and kill them in one fell swoop." Roar. The army roared with crazy eyes. They might win the holy weapon in this battle. After that, their mythology will definitely be unstoppable, and they will probably break the shackles and take the mythology to a higher level. The outer circle of the Soul Calling Tower, 100 yards away. Hundreds of rogue players climbed onto the roof of the bungalow and formed a 4-sided formation, surrounding the myth. The mantis stalks the cicada, followed by the oriole. "Grandma, it will take at least 2 hours. Why does he want us to come here now?" Shueisha led 30 thieves and leaned down in one direction. He looked towards the rooftop opposite. Over there was Mingtian leading the team and 30 thieves at the same time. There are 2 other sides with the same forces. When Yachen gives the order, they all rush out. Maybe he wants us to take a position early. In this battle, the Hall of Fame and some large guilds will participate. Mingtian glanced at the bloody battle on the opposite side and replied, "For it." Shueisha was slightly startled. He was good at fighting, but strategy was not his strong point. Now that Ming Tian reminded him, he figured it out. When everyone attacked Suan Wuo, wasn't it just to explode the sacred weapon? Now that there is the same opportunity, those large guilds have no reason not to participate. Humph, that kid really has two brushes, and his eyesight is quite far-reaching, Shueisha said. Well, his potential should not be underestimated. Ming Tian's eyes were deep. Now, he no longer regards Ye Chen as an ordinary newcomer, but as a strong man of the same level as himself. Sure enough, within a few minutes, many players rushed to Taiping Town. They saw that Xinhui had surrounded the Soul Resurrection Tower, but they didn't dare to step forward, so they sneakily found a corner and crouched. Ming Tian, Susha and others were condescending and had a panoramic view of their actions, with a mocking smile flashing in their eyes.